And hello once more, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to episode 25 of the Druids Dozen. My name's John, aka the Rock Druid. Just in case you haven't seen this before, I'm a DJ. I present a couple of radio shows. There's the Sunday Rock Show on BCFM, 93.2 FM in Bristol in the UK, syndicated around the world via the rockradio.co.uk network. And also I present the Rock Druid on astroradio.earth, international space and music based station. Yeah, so that's me. Basically these little vlogs are just me raiding my substantial record collection and waving a dozen albums, normally 6 on vinyl, 6 on CD, in front of the camera and talking about them. So, just to share my love of music. So without further ado, shall we pass straight in, shall we? I have the glasses ready this week. So, we shall begin with this one. Indeed. Going to kick off with a British new wave of British heavy metal. There we go. It's Tanks, This Means War, from 1980. I'll check in a minute. There's the front. There's the back. I guess 83, but I may be wrong. 83, yeah. Music for Nation, nothing on the inner sleeve, but Music for Nations records for those of you that are label curious. Now, bit of a transitional one for Tankless. If you don't know, Tank, new over British heavy metal band, formed by Algie Wald, former Damned bass player, and kind of they're just very heavy metal. They're kind of they're a bit Motorhead-esque, a bit Angel Witchy, kind of a bit. They did 2 brilliant albums on Camouflage Records, which was the legendary Filth Hounds of Hades, followed up by an album called Power from the Hunter. Then they kind of had a bit of a line-up change. I think Mark Brad, the drummer, left for Dump His Rusty Nuts, and don't know, it doesn't give you a can't remember exactly who's who on here, but they recruited a sort of like basically a new lineup apart from Algie Wald. Didn't change the sound that much. It's, you know, they still got this kind of Motorhead light, and I don't mean that in a negative way, kind of vibe to them. It's got a bit heavier, maybe a bit darker. This album, I find, it's not as accessible as, say, Filth Hounds of Hades is. Yet it's not quite got the fizz that the follow-up album for this, Badge of Courage, had. It's not bad, don't get me wrong, I'm not slagging it off. There's some good tracks on here, just like Sonic from Hell, Hot Lead, Cold Steel, Echoes of a Distant Battle, the closing track, is a classic. Echoes of a Distant Battle. All the tracks in here are big and anthemic, but hasn't quite got the spark that Filth Hounds has. Or even Power of the Hunter for that bit. But it's not bad. They got better, and I will address the elephant in the room. The artwork. I don't know who designed that, who at Music for Nations or within Tank thought that was a good album cover. It's not. Not quite as bad as that Battle Axe album that I waved around a couple of months ago, but it's not good. And it, yeah, puts you off. Although I have seen it as a picture disc with just the circular bit on it, but yeah, even then, you know, it's kind of, the logo's not particularly clear, and you know, it looks like they paid a O-level art student a couple of iffy cigarettes and let him loose with the felt tip pens. But you know, I can forgive them for that, because the album overall, as I said, though it's not classic Tank, one of the weaker Tank albums in my opinion, it's still got its moments, and it's still pretty damn, and it's still got some, you know, some high points. So, an interesting one I would recommend to people, but I wouldn't recommend tank collectors start with this. Yeah, tank, this means war, 1983. Next we'll have a bit of this. Again, one of these little kind of paying tribute to a small local band, although this lot aren't local to me, that deserve praise, and the sort of stuff that, you know, I love collecting. I love collecting obscure local bands because you get some real gems, and then you listen back to them and think, given the break, that band could have been huge. One of which is this lot. This is Trunk Shot, and this is the You Beautiful Bastards from, I think it's 2014, 2015, round about then. There's the front, there's the back, and there's the disc. Now, Trunk Shot, they're a band out of West Wales. Exactly where in West Wales, I'm not sure. I came across them in Llanelli. Oh God, a good few years ago, when my band Alien Station were gigging over there. One of the gigs we played, this lot were on the same bill. Now, but whether these are Llanelli or they might be Swansea, they might be Carmarthen, but they're from that neck of the woods anyway. But they're just a great, yeah, because it says they haven't actually recorded in Pembroke, but yeah. Anyway, this lot are a great fun band, really entertaining live outfit. And I've just checked, they're still going, they're in lockdown, haven't released anything for a few years now. But they have got a couple of EPs out, of which this is one. Now, I say EP because it's 6 tracks, a playing time of around 20 minutes. To me, that says mini album rather than EP, but, you know, that's me just splitting hairs. Yeah, to me, an EP should be 3 or 4 songs. Anything above that's an album, but that's just me. But anyway, real fun band. They're a 3-piece. Musically, they kind of got equal hints of kind of classic kind of American punk. You know, bands like Crumbsuckers and Bad Religion and that lot. But they blend it with kind of some great British metal like Motorhead, the aforementioned Tank, you know, that kind of stuff. They're just on that kind of punk metal kind of meeting point. Cracking little 6-track EP, this, or album. My favourite cut has to be the opening one, the title cut, Beautiful Bastards. But Death Before Control's pretty good. They're all pretty damn fine tracks. Somebody, Loser. Just good, fun album. They're a nice bunch of lads as well. Or rather they were, unless they've had massive personality transplants since I saw them a few years ago. But well worth checking out. Now, just before I came on out, I did look on Bandcamp. Both of their EPs or albums or whatever are available digitally. Whether they've got any physical copies, I don't know. You might have to email the band and find out. But overall, well worth checking out. And if you're over in West Wales after lockdown, go see them live. Yeah, You Beautiful Bastards by Trunk Shot. Okay, next up we'll have this. Yeah, this is Degeneration by Loud from 1990. There's the front. There is the back. There's the inner sleeve with some of the most confusing, hard to read lyric printing I've ever come across. All angles, all over the place. It's just kind of, hey. And there's the other back, minimalistic credits. Now, this is Loud's first album. Funny enough, I'll deal with their only other album they released, Psyche 21, on one of the early editions of this podcast. Can't remember the number. You might have to go back and have a look, but might even be the first one. But anyway, this was their debut album, 1990, and interesting band. Now, this lot, Ricky Howard, I think it was, former New Model Army drummer. I may be wrong, but I know there was one guy from ex-New Model Army on this album, and then Stuart Morrow, the ex-NMA bass player, joined them for the second. But this is a hard band to categorise, Loud. They're they kind of got a strong gothic streak, but there again they've also kind of quite commercial and technical with it. Very, very riff driven, and quite dark. That guy there, Chris McLaughlin's the main man. He writes 99.9% of the material. I don't know whatever happened to him after they broke up. Answers on the comments. Yeah, that way and that way. If you like, and you know, because I'll be interested. But a fantastic songwriter and a great performer. I think I mentioned when I did reviewed the Psyche 21 album that band I was in back at the time, band called Strange Institution. We supported Loud on a couple of dates on the Psyche 21 tour. Got on really well with the guys, and but anyway, this is a great album. It's a bit of an obscurity, but it's got a very deep engaging quality. It's got the opening cut and the title cut, Degeneration. One of my favourite cuts by Loud, to be honest with you. And it's a kind of riff-driven piece of dark techno rock that just, you know, it's got a powerful riff. It's got some great, insightful lyrics. It's got superb performances on it. Then you got things like, oh God give me word, Massacre, Explosive, Black Hysteria, all really good tunes. Now, like I said, Loud did this album. I did the follow-up about a year or so later, and then vanished. Never knew what happened to them or any of the people they're in. Shame, because they were, again, a great band with a lot of potential, but they have left behind a couple of really good albums, availability of which I wouldn't like to say. I don't know if either this or Psyche 21 ever had a CD pressing in the first place, let alone whether it's still available. I don't know whether there's been reissues. I don't know the digital status of these albums. So it might be one to do a bit of deep down checking out should you desire to enter this into your record collection. Give them a Google to check what they sound like, because there are clips on YouTube and various places. But I honestly do recommend, if you like a bit of kind of post-goth, maybe kind of NMA type style, you give these guys a check out, because they're two damn fine albums. Okay, next up we'll have this one. There's the front. This is the eponymous debut album by Delusion Squared. There's the back. There's the bit that folds out. Here's a sticker saying, "Hi John, hope you enjoy our the album. Regards, Emmanuel." Just came with it, yeah, because it's like, and then there's nothing much behind the disc, but there's the gatefold. Now, Delusion Squared. Now I can't remember who's in the band off the top of my head. I know they're French. They play prog rock and they're female fronted. Beyond that, I'm not really sure. I should have really looked it up before I came on here, but I'm running short of time today, so I didn't. Just a really nice prog rock album. Admittedly, they come from that style of prog that's female fronted, slightly ethereal and very much away with the fairies from time to time, but you know, although that can at times be quite annoying, it doesn't with this. With this it works. It's a concept album about a woman that sort of like seeking destiny. It's quite esoteric really, you know, it's quite deep, and how she basically becomes the mother of mankind, etc. I say very kind of right on spiritual, tree hugging material, but you know it's good for it, and I don't mind a bit of that. You can't always have heavyweight albums like Palace. You know, you need the light to go with the dark. It kind of flows through 4 sections. You've got Remembrance, Delusion, Enlightenment, and Legacy. Flows together as one piece. There are separate tracks. There's 11 songs on here, but they do kind of flow together nicely, thematically, if not musically, into a kind of glorious whole. Lyrics are pretty good. Whoever the girl vocalist is, spine-tingling performance. The rest of the music's pretty good. It can get a bit rocky in places as well, but you know, kind of very much in that kind of I'm trying to think. I don't know, kind of like a crash between maybe IQ and the Sandy Denny fronted Fairport Convention, maybe. I don't know, it's just hard to describe. They did this album. They did a follow-up, Delusion Squared 2, which I've got over there waiting to come out at some point. After that, I'm not sure. I think this album's around about 2013. I may be wrong. There's no date on it, but overall, give them a Google, and if you like, go get it, because it's quite cool. Okay, next up, well, that's something a bit different. Something, instead of 10 inches of me, you have, the 12 inches of me, you had 10 inches. There's the front. There's the back. Just in a sleeve, Flick Knife Records. One of my favourite labels back in the 80s, Flick Knife. They did some really interesting stuff. Now, obviously it's Hawkwind. This is the Independence Day mini album. There was an Independence Days 2, which was a full-size 12-inch jobby. Basically, it's a compilation of kind of some interesting stuff. Now, although this is billed as Hawkwind, it's a 6-tracker. Only 4 tracks are actually Hawkwind, per se. You've got some of this is quite rare. It's obscurities. It's collector's stuff for the fans, really. You've got a demo version of Hurry on Sundown, when they re-recorded it for their 1981 single release. You've got the 7-inch mix of Motorway City, which was a single from, again, 88, 81. You've got a re-recorded version of Motorhead, Motorhead's theme song, but it was originally a Hawkwind tune. B-side to the Kings of Speed album originally. Again, a lot of Hawkwind tracks have been re-recorded several times. There's a really good version on here. It's pared down, it's short, it's heavy. I think Lemmy makes a kind of guest return to play on it. Don't know where you'll find that. And then you've got the single edit of Who's Gonna Win the War, which was a charity single they put out raising money for Amnesty International. Cracking song. Can't remember where the original version's on, but so this is a single edit on here. Then you've got the 2 cuts that aren't Hawkwind. You've got Over the Top, which was originally by a band called the Sonic Assassins. Now, heavy Hawkwind connections. Hawkwind are in a state of flux at the moment, so Dave Brock and Robert Calvert joined up with a band out of I think Bridgewater down in Somerset called Ark, and with Devon, Bridgewater, one or two, somewhere in the southwest, sort of prog rock band Ark, who had done a fair number of albums in their own right, and formed this band, the Sonic Assassins, and did only a couple of gigs on one EP, which recorded live at one of those gigs in Barnstable. To kind of, thing. The track on here, Over the Top, fantastic piece of Robert Calvert improvisation. Starts off with, I can't remember the name of the track, but it's lyrics from a track off Space Ritual. Then he just goes off on one, doing his favourite. There's a whole story about him, which I won't go into, about how he performed it, top of his head, which I won't go into now. I'll wait until I bring out the Sonic Assassins EP in a few episodes' time, so go into that there. And then the last cut, Dave Brock's solo single, Social Alliance, of which the only Hawkwind connection is all instruments played by Dave Brock. So, yeah, it's, kind of more maybe related to the Hawkwind Friends and Relations selection rather than being pure Hawkwind. But overall, for collectors and for those of you that are interested in kind of some of the rare and unreleased stuff and obscure mixes of Hawkwind material and some of their related stuff, it's a good place to go. Don't know if this has ever been digitally issued or whether they've repackaged it as a CD or whether it's gonna have to hunt record fairs for it. But for Hawkwind completionists, it's one I would recommend you give it a listen. Yeah, Hawkwind, Independence Days, from, he says, trying to remember the year, 1984. Wow. Oh, now this one. I hate these flick knife. My biggest complaint with flick knife records was they used to use these polystyrene, these plastic bag inner sleeves, and they could become a bit of a pain in the arse to work with. Okay. Next up, we'll have a bit of this. This is another EP. This is House on the Rock by Rudi, Dobson and Rodney Matthews. There's the front. In 1982 this came out. There's the back. Now, Open it up. There's the band. That's only credited to 2. There's a third what guy on here, which I'll come to in a minute. And yeah, there's the disc, by the way. Now, who are these people, you may be asking? Well, Rudi Dobson is a well-respected session keyboard player. He's toured with people like Madonna and the Bee Gees and God, loads of other people. You know, I just before I came on here, I looked up his list of credits. It's long. Rodney Matthews is, of course, the classic fantasy artist and album cover designer, which you know, that's one of his artworks. And guesting on here is one Tony Clarkin, who's obviously lead guitarist with the fantastic Magnum. Now, Rudi Dobson isn't a very prolific solo artist. He occasionally kind of I can't remember the name of the album. He did a really good album that's kind of about sort of like a concept bio work about Audrey Hepburn, amongst other bits and pieces he's done. But the story goes that Mr. Dobson brought a copy of or saw a copy of Rodney Matthews' 1983 calendar, and was inspired to write some music about it. And then when he found out that Rodney Matthews is in fact a drummer, he dragged in Rodney Matthews to play drums, and then through they wanted a guitarist, and through Rodney Matthews' Magnum collection, got Tony Clarkin in. It's a pretty good. It's like a Tangerine Dream, Jan Hammer, that kind of vibe to it. Very kind of, very listenable. It's very kind of like sort of prog rock, but it doesn't exactly rock out, but it's it's pretty good. My biggest complaint is it's only 3 tracks long. You know, I used to have a copy of the 1983 Rodney Matthews calendar. There's some great artwork on there. Sure, it could have inspired some more, but I don't know what time restraints were on various members of this project's time, so maybe only 3 got finished. I don't know. My other complaint is that it shows the picture that inspired the title track, House on the Rock. Surely on here, because there's nothing on the inside of this, just a piece of paper, they could have found some excuse to show the other 2 pictures, Sanctuary and Almost Home. But I don't know. I think Almost Home became an Eloy cover. I may be wrong, but maybe there was licensing problems. But overall, it's sweet. It's short. Only 3 tracks. It's short. It's sweet. Very listenable. Availability, the Lord knows. So this was 1983. There's been a lot of music under the bridge since then. But interesting one if you can find it. And next up, we're going to have a complete change of gear. Yeah, this is The Journey by Jah Mason. There's the front. There's the back. Not much on the booklet. There's the full booklet, both sides. There's basically the inner sleeve. There's the disc. So yeah, 2011 this was recorded. Now, most of my collection, 99.9% of it, falls into the rock and metal kind of punk kind of sort of like genres. Many subgenres in that. You know, you'll find folk rock and extreme hardcore, etc. But mainly it's in there. Although there are certain little hidden corners that contain things like a bit of soul. I quite like a bit of jazz. I've got some classical. Even got some old pop stuff, and a very small reggae section, of which this is part. It consists of about 5 albums, but you know, not that I dislike reggae, it's just that it's kind of so much music, so little time, and I'm not really that knowledgeable about reggae and ragga and the various kind of subgenres of reggae to really speak much about it, or do the radio shows where I play a great deal. I can drop the occasional track in, but I'm not a reggae specialist. BCFM, a quick plug for the guy. We have a guy called Desi Rankin who does know his stuff. Lovely bloke and is a reggae god. But anyway, I stumbled across this in a local shop, a local grocer's, and they just happened to have a box of albums on the counter that someone had just acquired and had just dropped in and said, yeah, can you flog these for us? So they're only charging about 3 or 4 quid a pop, so I just grabbed one on the off chance, see what it was like. Now, I've since found out Jah Mason is a Jamaican roots reggae artist, bit of a legend, bit of a kind of undergroundy type guy, but done a whole string of albums going right back to the 80s, of which, so this is his 2011 album. 17 cuts on here, and when it comes to reggae, this is superb. You know, highlights, you got a track called here called Don't Sell Your Soul. Don't sell your soul for material thing now. Mighty Race, Policeman, about police harassment, So High, Wheat and Tears, One Bright Day. It's a very, very up-tempo, positive album. Very much in the roots reggae style. Those of you that, you know, whose one and only experience of reggae might be Bob Marley. That's where this guy's coming from. It's kind of it's in that kind of vein. It's not kind of dabbling with kind of some of the more inaccessible reggae formats, but it's just a really good, really sweet, really listenable album. I have listened to a few other albums that he's done. This is pretty par for the course, so I'm not going to say it's his best or his worst. I'm just going to say this is fairly typical of Jah Mason's work. Really like the guy's vocals. I love his songwriting. I love his positivity. Yeah, I'll be with Mr. Mason, because this is a cracking record. So yeah, The Journey, Jah Mason, bit of reggae for you. Okay, next up we go to vinyl, and we're going to have something again obscure-ish. Excuse me, I just need to take on some liquids a second. My throat is a bit croaky. Now, here we go. What's Wordsworth? Recorded live 1978 by Motorhead. Now, a lot of people have seen this album and have gone bootleg. No, it's not. It's not a bootleg album per se. It's a semi-official release. Released kind of eventually after a bit of haggling with Motorhead's official blessing. Yeah. Now, the story goes way back in 1978, around about the time Motorhead were recording their first album. Wilco Johnson, the ex-Dr. Feelgood guitarist, he's kind of quite a bloke that kind of quite likes his literature. Launched a a campaign to kind of save some rare Wordsworth manuscripts for the nation. And part of the campaign that he was running for it involved a gig at the old Roundhouse in London that included Motorhead, the Wilko Johnson band. Was it the Pink Fairies? Might have been. Mick Farren was there, as was a band called the Bishops or whatever. Can't remember exactly what happened. Now, one of the artists on the bill wanted to use the facilities to do had an idea of recording it live and recording a live album at the kind of thing and releasing it with all monies to go to the good cause, save these Wordsworth manuscripts. Now, as a result, Motorhead's set was recorded, as well as some of the other stuff, and I think the Rocking Bishops, whatever it was, got their album released, their live album, and Motorhead had the tapes. Now, Motorhead at the time were performing under the term Iron Fists and the Halls from Hell, owing to contractual reasons with their management at the time, and they were asked, the guy that, I can't remember the guy's name, but the guy that ran sort of Chiswick Records, or the Rolling Stones mobile that was recorded on, tried to get permission to release it, and unfortunately Bronze Records, Motorhead's official label, dragged their heels and said no. Now, by the sorry, I'll show you in a sleeve. I'll check the exact release date of this. Yeah, it's 83, and there we are, Big Beat Records. Now, so for, well, about 5 years, these layers forgotten tapes. And then eventually the guy that was the producer eventually managed to dig them out and got permission with Motorhead, who had had a slight management change, got permission to release it. Came out as this. So it's a semi-official record. Overall, it's pretty good. It's very raw. It's very much. I first saw Motorhead back in about 1981, so it's round about the kind of few years after it was recorded, but it very much sums up what Motorhead were like right up until Lemmy's demise. Very loud, very fast, very in your face. The track listing on here is mainly lifted from their eponymous debut album. You've got say Iron Horse, Born to Lose, On Parole, which was their the other kind of lost Motorhead album that was lost for years. Title track there, White Line Fever, Keep Us on the Road, Leaving Here, I'm Your Witch Doctor, cover of The Train Kept Rolling, which I can't remember who did the original, but Aerosmith have covered it, etc. And City Kids. Sorry about the noise if you can hear it in the background, it is absolutely pissing down outside. Yeah, there's a couple of tracks missing, like Mick Farren from the Deviants joined them on stage for a couple of cuts. Oh, and there's also got The Watcher, which was originally a Hawkwind song. But it's loud, it's heavy, it's in your face. Had been reissued a few times under different titles. It's been called City Kids Live in the States, etc. But still out there, still available. So yeah, bit of a Motorhead obscurity for you collectors and purists. Motorhead, What's Wordsworth, recorded in 1978, released in 1983. Okay, next up, we'll have this gem. Cauda, Pavonis, Wars and Masquerades. We've had them, these have come up a couple of times on the blog so far, and it's always a pleasure to bring you another album of theirs to wave in front of the thing. This one is from 2008. There's the front, there's the back. Open it up, there's the disc. There's the how the book folds out, and there's the fan. Love that artwork. Always try to work out what that train was. And the best I can come up with is something German, maybe Russian, possibly Polish. But anyway, there's the gatefold. There's the guys. With old Rob Quick, the old bass player there. The other three, Sue and Dave Wainwright and Chris Hines, are still in the band. Then you've got lyrics. More lyrics, full discography, album credits, etc. Now, Cauda Pavonis, well, I'm not saying these because these guys are good friends of mine. I'm saying this because I became good friends after I realised what a great band this lot were, or are. A kind of gothic death rock, kind of bit cyberpunk, bit very kind of dark wave kind of outfit. 4-piece band based in Bristol, been going for a good few years. It's got a string of albums out, of which this one came out in 2008. I think it's their 4th or 5th. Just really good band, really good people, and just do a fantastic live show. For example, Sue Wainwright, the vocalist, fantastic kind of powerful, almost operatic choral alto voice. Makes a change because you so get used to kind of, you know, the girl singer in a band being a kind of warbling soprano or a Tina Turner screamer, but it has someone that's a classically trained alto singing in a rock context is such a refreshing kind of vibe, and Sue is cracking set of pipes. Chris Hines, not the world's flashiest guitarist, but you know, God, that guy can hold a riff. Dave Wainwright, really good technical drummer, and I said all the songs are written by a combination of Sue and Dave. It's overall it's pretty good. Dave, I say, fantastic technical drummer. Dave, you know, rock out like the best of them. Pretty good backing vocalist as well. Now on here, you've got 9 tracks on the main album. Everyone's a bit of a belter. Dust to Dusk, Wayland, The Final Train, Juggernaut, all good stuff. Although recently, it's okay, I haven't seen Cauda Pavonis for a year or so because of lockdown, but you know, they haven't been doing a great deal of material off this album live, which is a shame because, well, maybe they just played death and got sick of it and decided to rest it up, I don't know. But I've seen them do Wayland and was a Masquerades, yeah, The Final Train maybe, but you know, I don't know the rest of it. But it's still good stuff, you know. I mean, I've been moaning the fact that I can't remember seeing it do it live. I no doubt the guys will correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, storming record. Then you got some live tracks on the back side, some live tracks, some alternative mixes of some earlier songs. Queen of Air and Darkness, Night and Friday Freak Show, and Love Like Broken Glass, which are parts of their regular live set, and just good stuff indeed. Yeah, overall, I recommend all the Cauda Pavonis' material. You know, some of it on CD is hard to find, although it's all available digitally. So, you know, things like the Sigil album, like hence they've got collectible actually, the Sigil album on CD, but you know, most of their stuff is available digitally. You might be able to contact the band if you want live CD versions. But if you like your goth, you like your dark wave, you like your alternative death rock kind of stuff, Cauda Pavonis are a fantastic band to get into, and this album is just as good as any to kind of go and listen get your vibe on with. So yeah, Wars and Masquerades from 2008, Cauda Pavonis, corking. Okay, next up, a bit more new over British heavy metal. And comes back to Rodney Matthews again, because he's got a classic Rodney Matthews album cover. There's the front. There's the back. Don't think I've got any inner sleeves or anything on here. No, but it does contain a nice special Rodney Matthews design centre disc there. Yeah, bit of a classic, bit of a fairly well, as far as like the British heavy metal is concerned. Of course, Praying Mantis, band's still much an ongoing concern. Reformed a few years ago now. Now signed to Frontiers Records. Had a bit of a style change, because these days they're more into a kind of sort of like melodic rock vibe. Although, you know, even this album's quite melodic in place, you know, got its melodic moments. But they're definitely more melodic than they are on this album. The line-up changed. I think the Troy brothers are still going, but not sure about the rest. But yeah, this is just a great album. Came out in 1981. Original Spartan Records. This is an Arista reissue. They got signed up by Arista in the end, and yeah. The original, you might have had a gatefold. I may be remembering this wrong, but I'm pretty sure I've seen gatefold versions of this. So this will make this a slightly later pressing if that is true. But overall, it's a great album. Probably the best known track on here is their cover of the Kinks, cracking cover of the Kinks' All Day and All the Night. But overall, pretty damn good. You know, tracks like Lovers to the Grave, Panic in the Streets, Beads of Ebony, Children of Earth, Flirting with Suicide, Cheated, Running for Tomorrow. It's just really good stuff. It's kind of, it's typical new over British heavy metal, but it's kind of got an intelligence to it that, you know, you don't often associate with metal bands from that period. Quite in depth, quite vocals are pretty good, the guitars are first rate. Not going to complain about the rhythm section either. Very, very listenable. If you're into new over British heavy metal, this one should be in your collection. If you haven't heard Praying Mantis, this is probably the best one to start out with. So yeah, Praying Mantis, Time Tells No Lies, 1981. It's good. Okay, final CD. T.S.O.L, live from Long Beach. There's the front. There's the back. In 2007 this was recorded. This was recorded 2007 and 6. There's the disc. And this is the UK release on Cider City Records. Of which there's a business card. Don't think they're still going, Cider City. Yeah, Midsummer Norton label. Just a plain black inner sleeve there, and just the basics there. Now, T.S.O.L, which I think stands for the Sounds of Liberty. I may be wrong. Please correct me in the comments if I am. Classic American punk band. came through on the same scene as people like Green Day and Blink-182, etc. Although they're not, these guys aren't exactly pop punk. These are kind of post-hardcore. They are hardcore in places, but you know, they also blended in sort of sounds of UK 82 and the New York kind of hardcore scene and that kind of stuff to make a rather interesting blend. This album was recorded at the Vault, Long Beach, California on the 25th of November 2006. It's great. It's a good, fun, party, in-your-face album. There's 25 tracks on here, most of which are short, sharp, and to the point. You know, you're talking about 1 minute, 2 minute songs. Oh God, it's hard to pick favourites. I mean, looking at it, there's Politics, World War III, Sounds of Laughter, Fuck You Tough Guy, The Funeral March, Code Blue, the closing song, great stuff. Just kind of, if you've ever been to a really good punk gig where, you know, you got slam divers coming off the ceiling and the walls are running with sweat and everyone's just getting into it, and you know, these days I tend to watch those kind of events from the back. I'm too old to get stuck into a mosh pit, me, but I've been there in the past. This album sums up what those gigs are like. It's classic, it's raw, it's just fun. You know, T.S.O.L have got some really good studio albums out as well that are worth checking out. Band that are currently on hiatus, although I haven't seen that they've officially split. But yeah, if live punk's your thing, I recommend this. T.S.O.L live from Long Beach from 2006. 2007 got released. So Cider City Records in the UK. It was BYO in the States. Don't know if it's still available, but I know it's available digitally because I had a look. So yeah, good stuff. Leads us to what I call the final vinyl, the last one, and we've got a double, and we've got a bit of a classic. This is Moonflower by Santana from 1977. There's the front. There's the back. Folds out lustily. Inner sleeve, same picture. Then that's a double album. This you've got album credits, production notes, and a big bag of percussion on that one. Here we have the complete Santana catalogue, which is basically all the albums they've released up until this point, including some classics on here. Lotus, Welcome, Caravanserai, Festival, Abraxas, Amigos. Yeah. And then on this side you have a picture of Carlos doing his thing. My favourite guitarist is Carlos Santana, you know, love the guys playing. And then there's the rest of the band. Over it now. Oh, nearly forgot. Also got Moonflower. This also comes with these custom disc labels. Now, probably one of Santana's best known albums, purely because it's the one that's got one of his biggest singles on here. Is a rather excellent cover of the Zombies' She's Not There. Is the opening cut on side 3, although it's an longer, far more in-depth extended version than the single version, and features some, well, wonderful guitar soloing from Mr. Santana. And it's an interesting one because this is part live and part studio, but it's not kind of done the logical way where you have a live album and a studio album. They're all kind of intermixed. So take it, you've got side 1, you've got opening cuts, Dawn and Go Within, then live versions of Carnival and Let the Children Play. Then, you know, I like live versions of Dance Sister Dance and Europa Earth Cry, Soul Sacrifice, but you know, it doesn't kind of, yeah, quite a lot of times I tend to find when bands do that, it can be distracting from listening to the album. Not with this, because you know, the live performances are flawless. Just kind of it's got this way of kind of just, yeah, flying past, and it's kind of it's balm to your ears, this album, whether it's the live stuff or the studio stuff. That's what I'm trying to say. The live material was recorded at various places around Europe, including the Olympic Halle in Munich, the Pavilion de Paris in Paris, and Hammersmith Odeon in London. The studio stuff was recorded somewhere in San Francisco. Yeah, CBS's own studios in San Francisco, Toby Scossi production. It's just brilliant. You know, highlights include, well, the live version Let the Children Play is superb. The guitar work on Bahia on side 2 is, Carlos is Carlos throughout, put it that way. The rest of the band, I mean, Carlos didn't muck about with second-rate session musicians. He always brought in the best, and you know, so you got to floor this album. It's got that kind of distinctive Carlos Santana jazzy Latiny beat that keeps it kind of rock and roll enough for us old rockers. Just brilliant, just brilliant. So all Santana fans or people that are just Carlos curious, this should be in your record collection, along with various other Santana albums. But yeah, Moonflower, double album from 1977, should still be available. So, well, that's it for this week. Hope you enjoyed this week's Druids Dozen. It's always good to hear feedback, so remember, you've got comments and likes, etc., and subscribes are down there on YouTube. They're over there on Facebook, and yeah, give me some feedback if you like. If you agree with me, disagree with me, give me your personal experiences of the albums. Thanks to those of you that have done so. It's always got chatting about music to people, and if the comment section of YouTube is the place only place I can do it in lockdown, then so be it. Well, anyway, I'll put links to the radio shows should you want to check them out, both down there on YouTube, over there on Facebook. Although I must point out that although I do a lot of classic rock on this blog, both radio shows tend to be like more cutting edge music. Both the stations I'm on, there are classic rock DJs, and I've been asked to kind of slant the shows more towards the modern releases. So that's what I do on there, and I love that much. Yes, I much love this classic stuff. So I still enthuse. But anyway, that's it for this week. I'll be back next, and until then, keep yourself distant, look after yourselves and keep collecting. Bye.